Uh, Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Today, we are very lucky to host one of the young leaders who is doing amazing job. He has his own movement called Sufuria Movement. Is the national leader. He's pushing for the grievances of the youths and is pushing for what they feel they're missing on the ground, especially with the government, what the government is doing. So I will give him time to introduce himself. Then from there, we will embark on the discussion of today, which is about the agenda. What is the agenda of the protest? So without wasting too much time, Mr. Obungu, floor is yours. May you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Obungu Sospita Owicha, the coordinator for the Sufuria Revolution Movement Kenya. I'm also a politician within Kisumu County who ran for the 2022 general election through ODM and later on registered himself as an independent candidate in the last general elections, whereby managed to get 6,000 out of 10,000 registered votes that were cast during that period of elections. I'm here in Kisumu, and Kisumu is peaceful. We are at the lakeside city of Kisumu. It's 1 minute past 8 o'clock in the evening. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, brother. You said you contested for ODM and you later went and contested again as an independent candidate. I know it's not part of the discussion, but let us, our viewers, know why did you have to go for independent after contesting for ODM nomination?
Okay, I was a former organizing secretary for the ODM party, and at the time I was registering to vie as an ODM candidate in the elections for Kondela Ward. I was still a member of the party. But we went to the elections, and during the process of nominations, it is within the public domain that I won for the nominations that took place. But as you all aware, that nomination process has got a lot of issues. So my victory was stolen, or I was rigged out, and the current MCA for Kondela Ward took the ticket. Then it is through that I decided to register as an independent candidate, courtesy of the request by my people who thought that the elections I was given a serious injustice. I was done a serious injustice in the party. Then they decided to tell me to register as an independent candidate. That is a side. So that is how it took place. Currently, as I'm speaking, I've come back to the party, and I'm a serious staunch supporter of the party, ODM,
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
here as a party member now.
Okay, thank you very much for that good clarification. Why Sufria movement? Why Sufria movement? Maybe our viewers would want to know the reason why you came up with the Sufria movement and as their coordinator or as their national leader.
Thank you very much. Before I enter into the conversation about the Sufria movement, sometimes before the elections, before the 2022 general elections, I was a member of a movement known as the Red Beret Movement. Red Beret Movement was a movement for young progressive leaders within Kisumu County. It was a movement which brought up members who are vying for the county assembly, and members of National Assembly, and even other platforms. I'm so happy about the movement, though it is not existing currently. But out of that idea, I decided again to come up with another idea that can bring us together. Why the name Sufuria? Because that is all that the viewers will want to know more about. Today, let me clarify why I decided to come up with a movement known as Sufuria Revolution Movement. Currently, as we speak, called for serious, desperate measures. So many people have been questioning why Sufuria, why Sufuria? Because in the Luo tradition and the culture, we are not allowed to walk in the streets with Sufuria. We are not allowed to put on Sufuria as a cap. But I decided to use Sufuria to demonstrate to the entire world that things are not getting the right way here in Kenya. We are standing in a serious and desperate moment. That is why we have called for serious, desperate. We are standing in a serious, desperate times. That is why we have called for serious, desperate measure to put on Sufuria. So Sufuria is basically a way to demonstrate that Kenya, as a country, we are currently in a position that even putting 3 meals on the table is very, very much difficult. And high cost of living, purchasing fuel for our vehicle, purchasing fuel for our motorbikes, for the border riders, even paying for electricity bill, uh, taking your children to school, uh, going to different health facilities to get medication is a problem in Kenya as we speak. Even purchasing anything, even in our local shops, purchasing salt that was that was used to go for 5 shillings. Currently, it is 10 shillings. Uh, Cooking stick, even matching stick. The matching stick, we call it kibrit in Doluo. That we
Yeah.
used to go at a cost of 2 shillings. Currently, it is 5 shillings. Everything is high. There is high cost of living. Now, this is a movement that has brought people together.
Mhm.
It has brought the less fortunate in the societies together to communicate on the table, to exercise their democratic right, to tell the current leadership, the current regime, which is led by William Samoei Ruto, that
Mhm.
things are not the way they're supposed to be. We need to
Mhm.
have a conversation on the table that should bring low cost of living. That is basically why I decided to come up with the movement. Why am I calling it a Sufuria Revolution movement? It is sort of a presser group. It is a presser movement. It is a foundation that is giving all of us a platform to talk about how we want to be managed, how we want to be governed as a people. That is Soforia Revolution Movement.
Thank you very much for
Yes.
that explanation. So my question is, as we go to our topic, what is the agenda of the protest?
Thank you very much. Let us start by talking about some of the things, the gains that we have achieved courtesy of the protest. Before
Mhm.
we just talk about the protest, and
Mhm.
before then, we must appreciate the anchors of the Kenyan Constitution. Those people who saw it possible to put a clause in the Constitution that guarantees our people an environment to assemble, an environment to picket, an environment to demonstrate. The Kenyan Constitution, Article 37 of the Kenyan Constitution, allows for peaceful demonstration or peaceful protest. We are protesting today simply because things are not done the right way. First, we know that we went to an election. We went to an election on the 9th August 2022, and that was the time that the general elections were conducted in this Republic of Kenya. As members of the Azimio la Umoja movement, we know that we voted Raila Amolo Odinga as our president. Though the victory, though William Samoei Ruto is the president legally, but his victory was challenged in the Supreme Court. Though we believed that we respected the Constitution, because as the true believers in the rule of law, we know that the Constitution gave him the mandate of the office after the Supreme Court declared him the winner. And he was given a platform to swear as the president. We know all those processes were conducted. in accordance with the Kenyan Constitution. The very Constitution allows us not to accept, not to agree. That is why currently we are saying we don't believe and recognize William Samoei Ruto as our president, because the role of the president is to unite the country. The role of the president is to protect the citizens. The role of the president is to protect lives and properties of its citizens. That is the role of the president. President is a symbol of national unity. But currently, as we speak, we have a president who is running the affairs of this country as if we have two tribes in this country. We have the Kalenjin and the people from the central, from the mountain. Those are the ones that have been given fair and lucrative jobs in this country. And most of the times you listen to them, they talk about those that are shareholders. So that is why we are saying we don't respect, we don't recognize, and we don't know William Samoei Ruto as the president of the Republic of Kenya. Through all those, we have some of the bad things that are happening in this country, which has made us to get to a stage that we are now protesting against it. Actions. Raila Amolo Odinga did say, I know that it is very, very, very difficult to accept that William Samoei Ruto won against me. But he said, because I respect the Constitution, let him work. We know Raila Amolo Odinga went to South Africa. After he returned back to the country, the whistleblower who was part of the IBC gave us an information that William Samoei Ruto did not win fairly. Now, we started a conversation that there were some of the points that we wanted to be addressed, and as members of the Azimio la Umoja movement led by Raila Amolo Odinga, we wanted them to be addressed. The first agenda was high cost of living. The second agenda was opening of the server. The third agenda was the Cherera 4. And the fourth agenda was restructuring or reforming the IBC, bringing electoral reforms to a place whereby we can now have an electoral body which can conduct a free, fair, and credible elections that can give our credible results after the process of elections. We know that that process led us to another engagement known as a bipartisan engagement, which gave birth to a 7 committee member from the Azimio and a 7 committee member from the Kenya Kwanza. The conversation started and it was altered at some point after the Kenya Kwanza refused to listen to the grievances and some of the structured engagement that were brought forward by the Azimio la Umoja. Out of that, the Azimio la Umoja pulled out and they said, now we cannot have a conversation because the Kenya Kwanza have refused to listen to us. Now again, during that stage, there was another serious animal by the name Finance Bill, which all of us did not agree to its contents. And we said, there are some of the things that must be changed before we can start a conversation. The issue of the house levy, the issue of extra additional 8% to the normal 8% of the VAT, which resulted to 16% VAT. That was also a conversation. And the hardship in terms of the general high cost of living. Through all those, then the party, the Raila Amolo Odinga, now said, because you have refused for us to sit down and talk, now we are getting to the streets.
Okay,
and
thank you.
we are allowed to demonstrate. Yes.
Just hold on there. There's some.
So I was just trying to make a clarification because you asked a very simple question: why protest?
Yeah.
Now I was bringing I was trying to just bring the overall view about what has brought us to a stage where we are now protesting.
And I agree with you.
Now I'll tell you why we are protesting.
I agree with you 100%
Yes,
of what you are saying, but I need to do
yes,
some follow up with you about
yes,
before you talk about some demands. The first protest, whereby you talk about the Cherera Four, you talk about the server, you talk about the high cost of living, which are very valid questions. But my question is, when you look
yes,
at when you look at the Cherera Four and Cherera
yes,
4 and the other commissioners. So, which means at the IBC
yes,
during that time, which means we had four people that
yes.
were working for the side of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and we had the other three that was working for the current president right now. So my question to you is, who was looking at the interest of the Kenyan people? A old lady who is voting somewhere in Migori, who cast her vote, who was looking for our interest? Because from the look of things, this was a commission that was not working, two factions fighting, and each of them might become kind of like saying they won. So, who was looking for the interest of the common man or the Kenyan people who voted? Who was looking for their interest?
First of all, let us understand that the
Mhm.
IBC is an independent body.
Yeah.
It is an independent body. IBC is an independent body. It is not a body for any faction. It is wrong to say that four commissioners were working for the interest of the Azimio la Umoja, while three commissioners were working for the interest of the Kenya Kwanza. That is wrong. As
Yeah,
for
okay.
me, I know that the seven commissioners were supposed to deliver a free, fair, and credible electoral results. That was all that was expected to be done by the IBC as an independent body. But as we all know, the commissioners, the three commissioners, decided to betray the course of the IBC. That is what led to the other four commissioners who decided to come public and tell the general population of Kenya that things were not done in accordance with the constitution or the rules and regulations that guides the IBC as a body. So it is not true to say that they were working for the interest of Raila Amolo Odinga. That is completely wrong. And
Okay.
because politics took center stage, because
Yeah.
politics took center stage, that is
Mhm.
why we can now say that. But Raila Amolo Odinga, because he's a true believer of the constitution, a true believer of the rule of law, he
Mhm.
decided to stand on the right side of the law. That is why he defended the Cherera Four, who were thrown out of office after speaking what the Kenyan people wanted to listen to. So it is not right to say that the commission was divided and were working for two sides. It is one side of the commission which comprises of three who were working for the Kenya Kwanza. The other side was standing with the innocent Kenyan people who woke up very early in the morning and trekked and made their way to different polling stations to make a valid vote.
So,
That's my
right
response.
now, okay, thank you very much for that response. Like right now, as we speak, about the demands that the movement, or about the
Yes.
demands that were there earlier. You talk of bipartisan. Are you still pushing for them, or there's a change of course? So other demands, are we still? Do we still want the servers to be open? Do we still want the reinstatement of the Cherera Four? Do yeah, or that one is now not there?
Those issues are still withstanding.
Oh,
Currently,
okay.
as we speak, we are in another stage. We are in another stage. We are in the demos and we are in
Mm-hmm.
the collection of signatures. But
Mm-hmm.
the issues that made us to come to the demos are still there. Meaning, if William Samoei Ruto is willing and wants Kenyans to feel better and to feel some sense of ownership for this country than Raila Amolo Odinga, who has always stood very firm for the interest of Kenyan people and said that Kenya is bigger than all of us. We'll be ready to listen to him, and the discussion will be about those ideas that surrounds high cost of living, the opening of the server, the reinstatement and strong justice to the Cherera 4, and the other part is cleaning and ensuring that we have a proper institution by the name IEBC, which can later on guarantee free, fair, and credible elections in this country. That
Thank
I can assure you. That Baba is not rigid. Baba is not rigid in terms of issue, in terms of ideas. Baba is open, and he runs an open door policy. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let me do a follow up again on the high cost of living. Yeah, when you look globally right now, there's inflation. Each and every country is experiencing in different way, and Kenya not excluded from it. How do you think, or what is the best way the government can do so that the cost of living can go down, or mechanism they can put in place? If you are given a chance, maybe to advise them.
The best way is to sit down with the Azimio leadership as the opposition and to borrow ideas without even seeing that, without entering into much of political, let me say political interests. The Kenya Kwanza government need to sit down with the Azimio and borrow ideas. That is one. Two, William Samoei Ruto needs to throw out the animal in the room known as Finance Act and revise its contents, whereby the issues that are very important, they need to prioritize on matters that affects this country first. Instead of telling us that coming up and building houses will create employment to all youths, he should revise that idea and bring back the Kazi Mtaani, which resulted or brought an idea that really empowered our young people. Apart from that, needs to scrap several offices which are less important to us as a people. We know that William Samoei Ruto is talking about Kenya not being in a stable condition, but still goes ahead and employs 50 CAS into office. People who the Constitution does not even recognize. He needs to throw out those offices. Two, this office, the cabinet secretary for I don't know, the prime minister, the prime cabinet secretary, that is office that is not even existing in law. That is another office that is wasting public resources. So William Samoei Ruto knows very well that Kenya as a country is struggling in terms of its economy, but is still encouraging offices which is consuming a lot of resources for this country. Another one, corruption. William Samoei Ruto presiding over a government which is full of people who are who's what? People who are having a lot of questions in terms of corruption. People whom were charged in several other courts is clearing them and bringing them back to government. The chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution, people whose chapter 6 of the Kenyan, whose what, I don't know, the credential are questionable. That is also an issue. The corruption is killing this country. For William Samoei Ruto to run a government which is sustainable, he must first fight corruption as a dragon which is killing the economy of this country. And he must clear away his friends who has got several cases in court, friends whom have been mentioned in several corruption cases. He must clear away with that.
Okay, thank you
That
very
I
much,
can tell
Mr.
you.
Thank you very much, Mister. So, because that was just something that we were out of our topic today. So, so far as you look at the demos, how it has been, various demos, do you see it successful, or what is your take on the demos right now? The previous one, even the one that is taking place right now.
Okay, first, as a country, we must appreciate that demos have resulted into good things. In the history of this Republic of Kenya, we have a multi-party, which is existing today, a multi-party democracy. Without the struggles in the streets, without the protests in the streets, dubbed Mageuzi, we could not now be in a position of enjoying it. We must appreciate those people who fought tirelessly for us to have this conducive environment. So demos are not bad. I've just told you that the demonstration is anchored in our Kenyan constitution. It is only the police who are trying to make demos to be bad. It is the president and his deputy who are trying to criminalize the demonstration, who are trying to make it to look as if demonstration is not something that is supposed to be done. Let me tell you this. Before we get to demonstrations, we always follow the due procedure of the law. We are required as supporters of the Azimio la Umoja movement or as Kenyans to notify the police. It is the role of the police to come to our demos and make sure that they escort us peacefully to whatever location or destination that we have told them that we are supposed to be going. But what always transpires is completely different from what we always want as a people. After notifying the police on what we are going to do, the police ends up not coming to our demos, but decides to wait for us in some places or locations just to throw tear gas canisters against us or to the peaceful mobilized crowd. They ends up using live bullets against us and injure the peaceful demonstrators. So just the process of demonstrations that we have carried out, I can tell you that they have not gone so well, just to be very frank, simply because the police have decided that they are not supposed to be very successful. But we are very candid, and as a people, we have always tried to engage ourselves into demonstrations based on what the law wants us to do, and that is how we have done them. Out of the demos, I can tell you that the first one, the one that took place last week on Friday, here in Kisumu, we lost about 2 people. We had several other people that were injured and are still going about their treatments. Today, we lost about 1 person around Nightingale, and we have several other people that are injured here in Kisumu, just to talk about Kisumu. But outside Kisumu, we have about 6 that have been confirmed. But I know that as tomorrow comes, we will be able to know more about other dead people or other cases about dead people who are dead, courtesy of the demos. So I can tell you, during these demos, we lose a lot of people because of the police and the excessive force that they apply on us as a people.
Yeah, that
But
should be a
as for political,
yeah,
that
that should be a
should
topic
be.
that if we have somebody who can talk to us about the how brutal police are to the people who are demonstrating peacefully, we will invite somebody one time here so can explain to us about that. So, um, um,
Yes.
Mr. Obungu, I know like when you are organizing
Yes.
this protest, you have a vision for the protest because you have like something that you want to achieve with the protest as a leader, because you're a leader that people listen to what you say and people feel like you usually share their views and their challenges. But here comes a challenge whereby you go for protest with your group who listens to you with a very good intentions, yeah, and there are also a group of people who also are saying they are in the protest. Then in the process we get too much violence and distractions. If you see today what happened in, I think is in Mlolongo, whereby the roads and everything was done. How do you, as a leader who leading the protest, how do you navigate such like issues so that the main focus does not go to destruction and violence but to your main focus? Because if there is violence and destruction, it kind of like takes the center stage rather than your main view for the protest.
Every time you ask me that question, I'll be able to answer you that it is the government which interferes with peaceful demonstrators. It is the government through the police that interferes with peaceful demonstrators, and therefore they make us get annoyed, and after making us got annoyed, now what comes after that is now fight. For example, today our police officers in Kisumu, they were throwing stones at us. It is not the people that was throwing stones at them, but they were also carrying stones and throwing them at us. Just a simple question: what happened to Uru's farm? Who sponsored goons who went and destroyed properties and even carried carried what is it? The sheep at Uru's farm. They were sponsored by the government. Now, before we blame the innocent civilians, let us blame the government. Today, what happened at a peaceful rally at Kamkunji? The government sponsored goons who went at peaceful demonstration at Kamkunji and brought down the tents, broke the chairs. Then the government used police to disperse innocent civilians who wanted to come and listen to their leaders address them. So those are issues that we need to address first. Two,
Okay.
as a leader within Kisumu, we always start our procession very peacefully at Kondele, heading to town. Like today, we all woke up and went to Kondele to mobilize our people who were very peaceful. Before we even started our procession, police came under the flyover and started throwing tear gas canisters against us and even stones. They blocked our way to town. We left them there and went and joined our leaders at Patel's. We came with our leaders towards Kondele to collect the other group who were still stranded at Kondele. What happened? The police came and started throwing tear gas at us, and the water canister was also coming towards the direction at which we were. Then we decided to run towards opposite direction. We went to town, and before we reached town, we passed by using the route to go Kachok, and we ended up with our rally at Molem. There was no destruction of property. There was no violence. We addressed the crowd that we were with, and we left everybody going home very peacefully. So that is how we always organize ourselves. So for us to finish this conversation about violence and destruction of properties, police has to be very vigilant. The police has to be brought on the table, and we have to tell the police that it is their role to protect properties and lives of our people. It is not their right to use excessive force against a peaceful and mobilized crowd. That I can tell you 100 times. Us as leaders, we do what is expected of us. The police should also do what the Constitution talks about them. The innocent civilians should also engage in a public discourse in a manner that the Constitution subscribes it. That is when Kenya as a country, we will do things normally and we will not do things abnormally. Right.
Okay, I hear you very correctly, our leader. As you know, you also talked about in our earlier conversation about high cost of living and the economy. But as we continue with the demonstration, how are you going to deal with the economy and the future generation when the schools and markets are kind of like closed because they're not going to school? The
We
market.
must, for us to fix this economy, we must
Mm-hmm.
start doing it the way we are doing it. We
Mm-hmm.
must start by telling this rogue regime led by William Samoei Ruto that we don't like the way he's imposing these punitive tax measures against innocent, poor hustlers. That is when he will feel that people are not very happy in a manner at which he's running his government. From that, we'll have a conversation. The conversation will be to reduce the cost of living. The conversation will be to throw out the punitive tax measures that is imposed on us. That is when the schools will be opened. That is when the market centers will be opened. That is when the mamambogas will start engaging in a conducive environment. That is when the mamambogas, after lowering the taxes to the mamambogas, that is when they'll feel that indeed they are running businesses that are that are productive in nature, not businesses that cannot even make them run the affairs of this country very well. They must feel appreciated by the government at which they are giving out taxes. They cannot be allowed to give monies to government that is not even pro pro them. So I'm telling you, until we achieve all this, then schools will remain closed, market centers will remain closed, because we have all agreed that we are in a desperate times that calls for desperate measures. And if it is demonstrated, in fact, let me tell you, as from next week moving forward, we shall be doing demonstrations from Monday up to Fridays. We will only left Saturday and Sundays for those that are getting to church and for our mothers to go to market centers to purchase food. The rest of the days will be for demonstrations, and it will be full-time demonstrations. In fact, we are going to take it even to shifts, whereby we will demonstrate during daytime, then we will leave the rest to demonstrate at night, then we pick it in the morning, then the rest will do it at lunch hour, then we rest, then another team will pick it after lunch up to the evening, another team will pick it in the evening and take it to during night times. That is how we are going to do it until the
And
government feel the pinch
mhm.
and allows a serious conversation.
Thank you. Now, and you know, if you do that, there's what we call what will come with how are you going to deal with the emerging trends? Because if you protest too much, because this is something that always has emerged when the protest continues. As a leader, how are you going to deal with the changing trends about looting and illegal roadblocks in the estates? Because you'll find you will have your people going for protest, but when they come back, there might be some young men who will be barricading the roads toward the estate and taking taxes from your people. How are you going to deal with this? Because that is will be a trending.
As we as we develop these ideas to make these demonstrations to go past the period that we have already indicated, we
Yeah.
will be talking to uh, about putting measures that will control those emerging issues. As for now, let us leave it at that as we
Mhm.
think about how to move it towards that stage, because we cannot cross the river without the water.
Okay. Any any
Yes.
alternative ways you could have used instead of demonstration to the government?
We know, Article 1 talks about the sovereign power which belongs to the people.
The
And we,
people,
the
yes.
people of Kenya, we have our National Assembly and the Senate.
Hmm.
That is a delegated power. Because we know that our leaders are supposed to engage on issues that affect us directly in the National Assembly and in the Senate.
Hmm.
But because the current government has refused to give leaders conducive environment to engage over these issues, they are now causing interference. Some of our leaders are being bought like even mandazis in our market centers. These
Hmm.
leaders that have refused to represent the interests of our people, the leaders that have refused to legislate over the matters that affect us as a people, and the
Hmm.
leaders that have refused to oversight the current government on behalf of our people. We have decided to take the powers in our own hands because the Constitution gives us that power. It is through the delegated power that our leaders represent us in the House. And the very Constitution tells us that in the event that these leaders cannot represent us, then we are allowed to take the powers in our hands. And it is that
Hmm.
power that we have taken and that decided to be on the streets. So we are using it as an avenue, but we have a lot of measures that we will be pushing forward. For
Hmm.
example, our leader
Hmm.
Raila Amolo Odinga has told us to append our signatures.
Hmm.
We will do that, and we will make sure that the signatures will be more than 10 million that is requested us, so that
Hmm.
we hand the signatures over to him and tell him that you can now tell us the next case to handle or the next course of action. So with us, we will only be taking orders from Raila Amolo Odinga as our
Uh,
leader.
right now, the IEBC does not have
Currently, he's
commission.
told us that to append our signatures. That is what we are doing.
Okay, so whether the IBC have commissioners or no, that is something to be discussed another
Yes,
day.
currently, as we speak, the IBC is not fully constituted.
Uh-huh.
That's a that's a that, that's a question that you need not to worry yourself about, because even the Kenya Kwanza are asking themselves, and they are
Mm.
asking us, where are you taking the signatures? That is not the issue. That it should not even worry them. We are going to collect those signatures and hand them over to Raila Amolo Odinga. Is our leader, and we cannot question him. One of the rules in the 48 laws of power is that you cannot outshine your master. As we cannot try to ask Raila where he's going to take those signatures, because Baba
Okay.
has done politics for more than 50 years in this Republic of Kenya. He's
Mm.
smart. He knows how to handle himself in the public. He knows
Mm.
how to handle himself socially. So we cannot
Mhm.
ask him what he's going to do with the signatures, as we'll only append our signatures and leave the rest of him. Lastly, we know that
Mhm.
IBC is not legally constituted, and those are some of
Mhm.
the fundamental issues that we are trying to discuss as a people
Mhm.
through Raila Amolo Odinga. And even with the issues with the signatures, we know that some will ask us, some people are asking, where are you taking these signatures now that IBC is not fully constituted, and it is them that are supposed to verify these signatures? That is a
Mhm.
question that we don't want anybody to ask us. Ask Raila Amolo Odinga, and he will give you that answer. Yes.
For how long? And then for how long are you going to have this demonstration? Will you get tired, or is something that is going for ever?
The anchors of the Kenyan Constitution knew that the demonstration is obvious. They they did not put a period for demonstration. They said, anytime, any moment that you feel that your rights are violated, get to the
mm,
streets. They did not say, go to the streets 2 times, then don't go to the street. They left it open. Any moment, anytime. We will demonstrate even for them, as so long as these things are not done the correct way. As so long as William Samoei Ruto is still in power, time limit for demonstrations. We are not ending soon
we are not
until
mm,
Sakayo gets out of the tree at which is seated today. William Samoei Ruto, from whatever comfort zone is seated
mm,
today, we must
mm.
get him out of that comfort zone. That is when we shall stop the demos. Yes.
And what
Until
should
our
government?
stomach are
Yeah,
fed, are full, until we can now find we can now put 3 meals on the table.
yeah.
Until the 16% VAT is reduced and left to the normal position, 8%.
Mm, mhm.
Until the fuel prices gets down, then demonstrations will always be on and on.
So what should government do for things to cool down in your thoughts?
They should allow for a dialogue,
Hmm.
and allow Kenyans to
Mm,
express their opinions freely without any coercion.
mhm,
They should allow Kenyans to tell them how they want this country to be governed, because Kenyans are taxpayers. William
mhm,
Samoei Ruto must put aside the draconian law in the name of Finance Act 2023. He must give the civil servants an opportunity to talk without any coercion, in a way that they want their social affairs to be conducted. The issue of housing levy should not even exist. How can somebody push you to give out the little that you are getting, and that person has refused to add you anything? Is stealing from the little that you have instead of adding you another one so that you sustain yourself with this high cost of living. Civil servants of this country are not supposed to be put into much pressure by giving out the 1.5% for the housing levy.
if you look at
That we have refused as a people, and
let me
demonstrations will always go on.
let me just remind you something. I think it was in
Yes.
2018, if I'm not wrong, about the Uhuru government, about the same thing. They also brought in house levy of 1.5, which Ukia Mutata went to court and the government lost, where I think it was made optional. So I think the house levy that Ruto brought in was not something new, but it just doubled the figure if you look from 2018, and it was voted in parliament. I think you can remember.
It is true, but he also ought to have given an opportunity for public participation. You cannot put a shelter for me, and my priority is food. Are you listening to that?
Yeah, I'm listening to that.
Two, the civil servants, they've also said that the civil servants have also said the salaries at which they are getting today is small. They are telling the government, we have not refused to give you 1.5 for housing levy, but we are telling you, before we give 1.5, add us some little on top of the normal salaries that we are getting today, so that even when you take 1.5, we don't feel that there is some that you are stealing from us. So they are also asking for their social welfare to be increased. Before then, they also support the government. So that is a conversation that is very mature, that I equally support, though I'm not a civil servant, but I also support that they need to be given conducive environment for that discussion to take place. But you realize that William Samoei Ruto
Mhm.
imposed this punitive tax measure against an organized society that is supposed to be given a conducive environment to engage very freely. You know, the Constitution of Kenya guarantees a people a way to explain themselves. You cannot do me a house, and what I want today is to take my children to school, and you're telling me go and purchase a 60-inch television. I cannot purchase a 60-inch television, yet I don't have some other money to put food on the table. My children are at home, they cannot access school, and I take another priority to go and purchase a vehicle. These are things that are self-explanatory. We must see to it that priorities are done first before we enter into luxury. That I can tell you.
Thank you very much. I think you explained yourself very nicely as a leader of the movement, and I hope your people are listening. So, one of the things that I want to ask you out of this, because there's something that came up when I was talking with my friends. I told them, okay, I'm hosting Mr. Bungu. There's this politics of you going to people. Some people are saying, oh, you should go to Milimani. Some people are saying you should do Kondele. What is your opinion about that?
There are several suggestions. Some are telling me that I should go for Senate, Kisumu County Senate position. There are other people that are also thinking that I should run as member of parliament for Kisumu Central. But let me just tell them this. The moment I sat down and thought about my people for Kondele Ward, there is a very serious reason. That's why I said I must represent my people for Kondele Ward. In 2017, that was my first time to run for elective position for Kondele Ward. And there were some of the serious issues that made me to go for that position. Coming 2022, it was extended because our people were seeing some potential in me, which attracted them to support my cause. As I told you earlier, that I ran for ODM and later on registered as independent, despite the fact that I was the first person to run against the party for Kondele Ward in the entire history of Kisumu County for Kondele Ward. I'm the only first person who ran against ODM party, and that has gone into Guinness Books of Records. It will go into Guinness Books of Records as the first person who broke record in Kondele Ward to run against the party, because the issues that are affecting my people, which led them to take me to independent, are still there. One of the fundamental issues that are there is about the infrastructure. Currently, as we speak, Kondele Ward, we have a lot of roads which are not tarmacked. And in the history of Kondele, there were some developments that were done by World Bank. We have major roads which were tarmacked by World Bank. We have the Skyway, Manyata Shule Road, which was tarmacked by World Bank. We have Konambaya up to Konambaya up to Ragia, which was tarmacked by World Bank. We have CJ Market up to Lava, going down up to Lava to Kajanta, which was tarmacked by World Bank. We have another road which was Konambuta Kaego, which was tarmacked by World Bank. All these roads, they are still remaining the way they are, and they are still remaining the way they are, meaning from tarmac, they are today maram. So these are issues that has made me to go for this position so that I can see a way on how we can negotiate with the county government to see to it that these roads are put to a manner, to a point where our people can seriously enjoy the services. The second one is the issuance of bursaries. Currently, the current MCA for Kondele Ward is doing badly in terms of issuing out bursaries to our people. I've said this and I want to repeat myself here that my way of distributing bursary to our people will be completely different. I will do it through the units that we have. Kondele Ward is having 6 units administratively. That is for the national government. We have 2 units for the county. Bursaries will be distributed per unit. We will organize ourselves. We say Kondele West, this is the day that we are distributing our bursaries. So all people that are coming from Kondele West, this is a way that you will organize yourself to come for the forms. We will also say the moment we are doing it for Kondele East, this is the day that we are doing it, such that we will deal with the most vulnerable. Currently, as we speak, bursaries are given even to those people that are well off, and the most vulnerable pupils and even students in our communities are left without even a single bursary. 2, the scholarships. Scholarships are given to those that are, that is also a serious problem that we have. Another one is legislation. There are some of the bills that I will take to the county assembly to promote the social welfare and economic welfare of our people. That I can assure my supporters that I will do that. Currently, as we speak, there is no single bill that has been sponsored by our current MCA. A bill that is promoting the social, economic, and political well-being of our people. That I will do. The last one is legislation. Not on legislation. The last one is oversight. Currently, as we speak, there are most of projects that are supposed to be done by county government of Kisumu, but monies are allocated to these projects. There is no implementation, simply because the MCA is the contractor. So there is a conflict of interest. So he cannot question the county government about the implementation of the projects simply because he's the one who has taken these projects through proxies. Now, I'm assuring my people, if you give me the position, or if you give me the mandate to represent you out of your votes, come 2027, then I'll be able to oversee all government projects that are supposed to be implemented in Kondele Ward and make sure that there is value for money for whichever project that has been allocated the monies to be implemented. And lastly, as I finish on that, I will make sure that projects are followed from 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022, 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, 2024, 2025, 2025, 2026, 2026, 2027, up to a point that I will be in that office. We will make sure that all projects that you have always been, that you've factored in and prioritized are realized and they see the light of the day. That I can assure my people. If you give me that mandate, come 2027, I will also run an open door policy, a government which is people driven, leadership that is closer to the people, a consultative leadership, leadership that consults, leadership that does merit to the people who gives the mandate. You will have a leadership that is servant based, a people driven leadership that I can promise. And I'll always come back to you so that we get this platform to talk to our people about what they want. Mine is about Kondele that we want. Kondele Mwadwaro. The current MC ran through a platform about Kondele Manyen. As we speak today, Kondele Manyen has gotten back to Kondele Moti. Mine is about Kondele Mwadwaro. Yes.
Thank you very
Kondele
much.
Mwadwaro, whereby we have clean market centers,
Uh-huh.
conducive environment for the young people to do business,
Uh-huh.
proper educational centers, vocational training centers in terms of bringing out innovative ideas for our young people, our
Mm-hmm.
PWDs, our
Mm-hmm.
mothers, and
Mm-hmm.
even the elderly persons will have a conducive environment to stay. That is the Kondele that we want. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Obungu, for such. And there are a few people here. We have Vincent Odero, Kenya Revolutionary. We have Gitash. Gitash is my friend, and of course, thank you very much for being with us on the show.
Yes.
And Mr. Obungu, this place is yours. If you have any idea you want to share as a leader, this is why this platform is here. This platform is for young people like you who are coming up and who have like different type of leadership skills that will see the challenges of the people you lead are uh, dealt with to the end. If you are new in this channel, you can share this, like this, and give us your subscription, and we will be very happy. And it's past 1 hour. That is usually scheduled for the show. And Mr. Bungo, thank you so much, and feel welcome another time. And I know we will continue speaking so we can share your vision and your policy for the Kondele people. Thank you very much. And for our viewers, meet you next Wednesday when we're having a live show.